childhood?
My childhood was a long time ago now, or it feels like a long time ago. I mean, I don't feel different. I don't think I feel markedly different than I did as a child, particularly. Like I identify still with myself, I recognize myself, but I don't think about it so much.
Ah, really?
No, yeah.
Nothing come from this world?
No, I'm just here now, you know.
Good. Family, meaning father, sister.
Well, my family is my father and mother and sisters and niece and husband and husband's family and, you know, and all my relatives, and then also my community is my family. You know, I think that's the nice thing about being an adult is that you also can choose who you have a familial relationship to. And I've been very blessed to have a very good family, you know, in my biological family, and then also in my whole community. And you know, the people that have been willing to inherit me and that I have inherited. So.
And your father and your sister are artists, right?
Yes, my father and sister, my father was an artist and my sister is an artist, Seaton. And my mother was an opera singer, and my other sister, Beatrice, was interested in theater. So, you know, I always thought we're like sugar crystals hanging on a string together. Like there's something that binds us together, but then we're each, you know, our own particle, but certainly interwoven and connected.
Catholicism.
You know, Catholicism isn't something that I think about so much all the time, particularly, but I certainly have been profoundly influenced by it as a language for spirituality. You know, a very vivid language and or landscape, and one that very much imprinted on me as an artist.
But so it means it's an iconography you are inspired by?
Yeah, it's very much so an iconography that I'm inspired by, and also just the idea that the physical can manifest the spiritual world, you know, as just the idea of that, and that the spiritual world or the non-seen world is evident in all things visible.
But we can see that, for example, you were inspired by Sainte Geneviève,
Yeah.
the saint of Paris.
Yes, but I was particularly inspired by Sainte Geneviève because I have a good friend, Geneviève Cadu, who's an artist from Montreal. And so it went together. You know, it always goes together with your personal life. Like I was inspired that Sainte Geneviève is with the, you know, the wolf and the lamb, but it was because of my friend that I wanted to make something with it. You know? So it always has to fit with something in your own personal life. It's not just you know, the outside world.
But you were raised Catholic, right?
Yeah.
Or not much?
My mother was converted to Catholicism, and so she raised us Catholic, and but then she became involved in Hinduism and Buddhism, so that also influenced me very much.
But for example, Jesus is something you think about?
I don't think about Jesus very much. I don't really. But the Virgin Mary has certainly occupied a lot of sleepless nights, and as you know, and the Holy Ghost. I would say even God. I don't want anthropomorphized God. I rather think that the universe is divine, and we are, part of that manifestation, as is everything else. And so, it's larger than our ideas. Like in real life, everything is much larger than our ideas, or than our sort of putting things in human terms. I prefer that kind of divinity, but I also am very happy for the Virgin Mary to intercede on my behalf.
Women.
Women are a good thing to have in one's life. I grew up with my father taught when I was young. He was away a great deal teaching. So I grew up with my mother and 2 sisters. So, for me, that is the most natural group to be in relationship to. And so I've always had, most of my friends have been women in my life, and continue to be. And I came up at a moment where to be a woman artist was a possibility, and something that was very exciting because of the feminist movement of the 70s had opened up a great deal more space than there had been. And but I think it's other times, you think all these definitions of gender also is completely boring. You just want to be a human being, and then after that you just want to, be just the wind or something. You want to just be part of the earth or the wind, or, not so specific, like you're like always having an identity also is a hindrance in life, or always identifying with any given thing can be just as much a hindrance in life. And at the same time, I, probably like, in my 50s, I would still say girl, refer to myself as a girl. So like I'm tiptoeing into womanhood at 65, I don't know what it means exactly.
But there's a lot of representation of women.
Yeah, but just because I was a female, I was a female sex, so I thought it's good to speak through my own experience. And not that I was using my own body particularly, but sort of a general, probably very specific to really just who was around me at a given moment, whose bodies I used, and who would let me use their bodies. But it was just to speak through that.
Bon. Tapestry of the Apocalypse.
Oh, I love that. I love the apocalyptic tapestries.
You went there to see it in Angers?
Yeah, I went, and it really, it's my fantasy life. If I was the artist I would like to be, I would make something like that. But, you can't, everything comes from its moment. But
Why do you like it so much?
It's just so beautiful. It's so economical, and at the same time so vastly rich in its expression. And, the apocalypse in our real lives is a complicated inheritance that I don't think helps us make decisions in the modern world particularly, because we have in our mythology this idea of ending. I think that doesn't work with trying to find solutions to things in a good way, but certainly the iconography is extremely rich, in visual language and in music and in all different ways. And just the apocalyptic tapestries are just an extraordinary feat of creativity that to me is still unbelievably vibrant.
And have you seen the retable d'Isenheim? Isenheim retable?
Oh, yes, of course. Yes, I've gone three times to Alsace to see the Grunewald, we say Grunewald altar or Isenheim altar. Yeah, that's extraordinary also.
So your masters are in the past? Your masters in art? Where are your masters?
I don't know. You know, I think they say no God, no master. But
but what they say is not what you do.
No, I have a great deal. I have a very general great deal of appreciation for creativity, how it can manifest. Because I think it's something inherent to all living beings, but and maybe non-living, but I admire very many artists. You know, I have lots of heroes. And
but when you began, for example, you thought, "Oh wow, I would like to make this kind of thing." No.
No, you know, I just thought I'd like to learn how to. Then I was like trying to learn how to draw a pack of cigarettes. You know, just try to learn perspective or learn or
techniques.
Learn how to do things. Yeah, to get a kind of knowledge in your body. You know, that's my ambition, to have knowledge inside my body, so that I can avail it when I need it, and that's a lifetime struggle. But that makes it fun. You know, it's fun to be in a struggle with something.
Yeah, to discover, right?
Yeah, and have to work hard at things, you know, because some people are given things easily and some people have to work a little harder at it.
And you?
And I'm on the working hard side of things. You know, I have to just work and work and work and work and work. And I find it very fulfilling to work.
Body.
You know, I guess for me, I always think, oh, that's something that I was interested in before, and I don't think about so much now. I don't, you know, now I think about being in a body in a different version of a personal way than I did when I was 24 or 30 or 40 even, you know, because now you have to start, you know, thinking that you have to like get rid of half the things you own in the next 20 years or something, or you have to start disembodying, you know, you have to pay attention to your disembodiment or de-incarnation, and, you know, and you experience your body in brand new ways that they never told you about when you're young. So, you know, it's all a trip.
And also, your heads are bigger.
What?
Body kind of, the heads are bigger compared to your bodies in the sculptures.
Oh, but that's just because I was really enamored with Gauguin's wood carvings that he made in Tahiti, and one in particular that the Nasher collection has in Texas, which is just one of the most beautiful sculptures I ever saw in my life, and I was so taken by that. But you know, it doesn't really make, and it's also just an interest in like dolls and puppets and things like that. But it doesn't really make sense why I make things like that or why I did make things like that. You know, it really just comes out of like, yeah, my fantasy life.
Death.
Death I think about a lot because, you know, I feel like I need to be here as long as I can be here because I'm a slow learner in many aspects of my life. And at the same time, I want to declutter my life, that I'm not leaving unresolved things for other people to deal with. I think that's something I think about a lot. But also, I think I never thought about before was that when you're dead and buried in the ground, you become the earth. And when you're alive, you're suspended between the heavens and the earth, you know, and you're always in this. I'm not the most grounded person, so I'm not really, in a way, very earthbound.
Mm-hmm.
But then I thought, when I'm dead, I will be earthbound. You know, and I thought that's really like, it's a really incredible idea to think that you become the sustaining nourishment. If you don't have too many toxins in your body that, you know, kills everything around for 20 feet, you know, you can become what nurtures the world. And especially since we're losing topsoil, you know, we have to think about, you know, graveyards used to be the richest, most fertile soil, and then became, you know, just poison fields with the amount of chemicals that we put into ourselves before we die and then after we die. And certainly, like in the United States now, you can just be buried into the ground, which is new. You know, they took that right away a long time ago, and now they've just given it back. And so that sort of changes everything, you know.
Your next dream.
I don't know.
You dream?
Yeah, here I have lots of dreams, but I don't, they're all very tumultuous, but I don't remember them when I wake up. I don't know what my dream is. I don't know if I wasn't raised so much to have any, to want anything. Like I was just raised to take life as it comes, and I think I was also hesitant ever to want anything. You know, I would like to stay home. That's my dream, is just to stay home for a while.
And home is outside of New York,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And my husband fixed up a building for me that I could have a studio. I never had a studio before. And I thought, that's my dream, to stay in my studio and have a new experience.
Wow, but you can do it, right? You go back to New York soon.
I'm lucky.
Merci.
Okay, merci.